What's happening, y'all? I'm Andrew, and this is Coop, and this is another episode of Mirror Music, number I think 58. Today we're talking about two I Get Arounds. One in memory of Brian Wilson, rest in peace to him, by the Beach Boys, and one by Tupac Shakur. So, what's up, man? How we doing?
Good, man. This not sure when we're going to be airing this, but of course, we have hip hop talks later this evening. It's early in the day with you, which is my usual motion. Make sure everybody click like, share, subscribe to the page. This is going to be one of our better episodes, in my humble estimation,
Yeah.
just based on the characters and the songs that we are discussing. But I'm doing good. Daughter has already started college. She's actually in class right now. This is her first week of
Well,
summer classes.
congratulations to her.
Yes, congratulations to her starting early. I didn't bloviate about her graduating from high school so much because I knew she had work to do almost immediately.
Right.
So she's in class and in school. All the financial funding and stuff just got approved like literally about
Oh,
30 minutes ago. She sent me the text like got the money. I was like, look at
nice.
God.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah,
Yeah, good.
one less thing for dad to have to worry about. But yeah, she's in school. Nephew is in town from Memphis, but is out with mom and sister
Mm.
doing whatever. I'm taking him shopping later before hip hop talks because he's headed back to Nashville and Memphis this weekend for family reunion and then home.
Hmm.
So a blessed and happy time, actually, man. I'm at as peace as I've ever been, actually, Andrew. I'm in a
Yeah,
wonderful
you
place
seem
in
like
life.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I am, man. I'm in a real good place. Everybody's been saying, they're like, dude, like you're a little different. And they're like, what's going on? I was like, I'm good.
You're not chasing shit is what's going on.
Not chasing anything, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not chasing a
It's
woman.
late enough in the morning that you have real clothes on. I mean, look at us.
It's crazy. No, don't get it twisted. The bathrobe is still right here. The robe is
Oh, mine's hanging up right
right.
there. It's right outside the screen.
Hold on. I just took the robe off. Well, I mean, I think people forget this too. Well, if you're seeing me in this robe and it's a summertime episode of Mirror Music, you need to know that it is before 9 o'clock in the morning because after
Yeah.
9 o'clock in the morning in Georgia, in any basement, even this one, which has a AC unit literally
Yeah.
blowing air right here. Oh no, ain't no putting this bathrobe on even right now at what time it is. Oh no, because
Yeah.
it's already like damn near 80 degrees outside, which hits the basement first. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
out the robe and
Yeah.
in the clothes.
That's a wintertime thing. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely
So
more winter time. So where you want to get we starting, I think we should probably start on the Beach Boy side because
okay.
Brian Wilson passed away. And funny, don't get to say this often about a Tupac song that is notarized and popular. Well, the I Get Around by the Beach Boys is arguably the more popular of the two songs.
I think probably
So
so. Yeah.
so I did find it striking though that when you put I Get Around in, and this is how your algorithm works. I know that the algorithm should put the Beach Boys first,
Hmm.
but that's just in a normal algorithm. In my algorithm, Tupac was first
Yeah.
because of the frequency with which I play
Right. Sure.
Tupac, and then the Beach Boys popped up. But when you go Wikipedia, it then flips and goes
Sure.
Beach Boys, Tupac. But
Yeah.
but go ahead, start unwrapping and unpacking this for us a little bit.
All right, man. So there's too many ways I could go with this, um, but we can start here, I guess. That Brian Wilson, who is okay, so the Beach Boys are three brothers, a cousin, and their friend. Okay, so that's who you're hearing singing. That's why the harmonies are so tight. Is because they're three brothers and a cousin, so they're all family members. And obviously, we've talked on the show before about how family members sound different when they're harmonizing with each other. They also sound so good because Brian Wilson was kind of a prick about it. Like, no disrespect to the dead, but like he was obsessive about, and he made them do it over and over and over and over and over and over again, which is why um, at some points in their musical career they were not that big a fan of each other, which you can see, like if your big brother is like come on is like on your ass about stuff all the time, like that's going to be that's going to wear on you after a while. But Brian Wilson is also when we talk about great songwriters of the 20th and 21st century, we tend to talk about lyricists, really,
Mhm.
right? I mean, that's when we're saying great songwriters, we're talking about Joni
Mhm.
Mitchell and Nas and Stevie Wonder and Lennon and McCartney and Bob
Yeah,
Dylan and Paul Simon and all these guys, right? And ladies,
France. Yeah,
yeah.
all those.
So I would put Brian Wilson in that stratosphere as a songwriter, but I don't think of him as a lyricist, but I think of him as a composer, right? Like the way he puts the chords and notes and tonalities together is unlike anything anybody has ever done before. So think of him, for those of you who are not, I mean, there's nobody alive, conscious in the Western world who's never heard a Beach Boys song. Like they play them everywhere in commercials and athletic events and grocery stores, and like you have heard this song before, even if you don't know. Round, round, get around, I get around. Right?
Right
You know,
when I get
you've heard that.
around.
Ooh, woo. Okay, we're not going to do the whole thing, but um, it's think of him like a Mozart or a Beethoven or those kind of composers. I mean, because the lyrics, even in their more lyrically dense songs, the Pet Sounds of the Worldish kind of songs, they're not that complex, right?
So, so when you said those things about him, I immediately thought, well, that sounds like Tupac, because Tupac's specialty wasn't necessarily he wasn't quote unquote to be considered a traditional lyricist
Right.
the way you would consider a Joni Mitchell
Right.
or a Nas to be a traditional lyricist. But much like Brian Wilson, the connectivity, because of the tonality and the inflection used vocally, and because of
Mhm.
the composition, much like Brian Wilson, so Tupac's music sounds more like composed poetry and written
Mhm.
works,
Right.
organized and trite, theses, protagonist, antagonist, situational, certain, like, yeah.
Mhm.
And so, but also, too, very simple in how he explained things.
Right.
And so, actually, some more corollaries between the two artists. And and I also want to say, as a big brother on my side, big brothers are pricks.
I'm a big brother too, so yes, I can say that
Yeah,
with authority.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I've shown my younger siblings no mercy, and I can tell from the from the adult relationship how
yeah,
they're like, yeah, fuck you, guy.
yeah,
But I would like to think that I've made them better and made them think, though. So
yeah. There's
mm,
that too, for sure. Because the
yeah,
Beach Boys wouldn't have been the Beach Boys without that
right.
kind of obsessive attention to detail.
Right. So, I have a sister who is very successful now that's kind of pulled up the last couple of years. Like, hey, thanks. And the other two are kind of like, nah, fuck you, dude.
They'll get there eventually, or they won't.
Yeah.
Like
And,
it's
and and that's how it is. So when you're talking about, oh no, the relationship wasn't the best over the years, and it's kind of like, it's like, yeah, that's what
yeah,
happens when brothers and assholes, though.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Some real life to it. So where would you organize, like, where I think we always talk about the order of things a lot,
Yeah.
because especially on your side, because we talk about popular culture music and
Hmm.
how it's transcended things, and like you said, we've been listening to these songs, TV, film, movies, I don't know how
Right.
many times. I think the first time I heard this song, it was probably via a commercial when I was a kid.
Yeah, I'm
um
sure. Yeah,
yeah.
but
But
they're everywhere. Sure.
is this album on Pet Sounds? This is on Pet Sounds,
No, this is before that.
right?
This is May 64, which is 2 years almost exactly before Pet Sounds.
Okay, so
Um,
this is okay. So this is one of the things that catapulted them. Then is what
mhm.
you're saying.
This was I saw a note that said this was the first. I forget what it said. It's either 8 months or 8 years, and it can't be 8 years. So it's probably 8 months. It was the first number one hit by an American artist in probably almost a year when it came out, because this
Oh,
was the rise of the Beatles too, and the Beatles
yeah,
probably had like 15 in a row or something like that.
yeah.
So
Euro invasion.
this song was the song that broke that string on the Billboard charts in May of 1964.
Oh, so this big for America.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I'm gonna tell you what I hear. Just just aesthetically, like the black guy listening to it. It's like, oh no, these are my cool ass white boys I used to hang out with in Cali.
Hmm.
Because I used to live in Cali. I'm like, no, these are the dudes I used to hang with.
Yep.
Like literally my homies be like, yo, let's go like smoke some weed and go skate and go surf coop. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying? They be like sitting in the car, cutting holes out of apples so they can like smoke bowls on the beach out the apple. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I feel so when I hear this, I hear, the cool ass white boys at Redondo in Manhattan in Venice
Right.
that like are kind of kicking it the way we kick it. And it's like, oh no, it's like, and this is what I mean, culturally not that different. It's like, oh no, much like Tupac, young men, attractive, talented, in California,
Yeah.
fast cars and fast women. Yes, absolutely. Fast cars, fast
This and
women.
what you have here
We get
is, I
around.
mean, there was a tradition of beach music before this, right, in the
You can
50s and
tell.
60s, like the
You can tell.
Drifters and stuff like that. They're coming
Mm.
from that tradition, but they're like the cool young hip
They
versions
how about
of
this?
that.
They sound like the kids that learned from like the doo-woppers that would do it like on stage with
Yeah.
a stool
I wrote a note that they were like a
barbershop.
barbershop quartet. Yeah. I mean, it's that
Right.
kind of, yeah.
So what they are is that like, I mean, well, let's modernize it. The Beach Boys gave like the quartet shop sound. They gave it some
Mhm.
swag with what they did.
Yeah.
They're the ones that add the swag to it. It's like, oh no, like those guys ain't standing outside of no barbershop. Those guys are at the beach macking girls under the cabana.
Mhm. Absolutely,
Yeah.
they are. That's what
It's
the
like
song's about, right?
they not harmonizing outside for pennies. They harmonizing to get the girls.
Mhm. Oh,
They
yeah.
on a mission.
Yeah. I
I
still
approve this
remember
message.
when, I
I
mean,
approve.
they are in many ways. This is going to be a weird jump. I'm sorry, but like they're like a precursor to like Boys to Men kind of thing, like that kind
Yes.
of. They're that in that genealogy, right? I
Yes.
mean, their music doesn't sound a lot alike, other than they have 4-part harmonies too. But I remember very very distinctly. I was a choral student in high school, and I did all-state chorus. This would have been my junior year, in the spring, and I very distinctly remember, like, sitting around with people from all over the state, and singing Boys to Men songs, and harmonizing. This would have been, 1997 or 8, right?
97.
Um, so yeah, I very distinctly remember doing that, and
Yeah.
there were, like, 8 or 10 guys all
Motown
sitting around
Phillies.
singing, and the girls
Motown
watching.
Phillies.
Like, I remember this
Yeah.
very, very clearly. Same idea,
Da da
right?
da da
Yep.
da da da.
Mhm. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, man.
Okay. Yeah.
I
Uh-huh.
remember that. But
Yeah.
the Beach Boys are the '60s version of that, and I know it's beach music, right? But it's still coming from the same it's coming from the same kind of harmonics, and it's also coming from the same, like, impulse to impress women, right? Like,
Mhm.
that's what we're talking about. So, and
You,
this is what
you,
the song's about too, if we're being real.
and so let's connect the culture some more too. It's like,
Yeah.
well, okay, so like, it doesn't matter what environment that you come from
Mm.
when you're young, under 25 specifically, under 30 to round everybody in. As a guy, you are willing to do whatever it takes to get the girls that you want to be around. Girls like nice cars. Girls like nice jewelry. Girls like to go nice places. The guys, to do those things, get the most girls. This is the Beach Boy bragging. This is the Beach Boy bragging. They saying, no, we them motherfuckers stuff. And I love it.
Mhm.
It's very much like a rap song. It's very
It is.
braggadocious like a rap song.
Like we talked about this off camera, but like I'd not actually. I mean, when we've heard this, like we said, we've heard the song our whole life, but the only part that I really know is Round, round, get around, I get around, da-da-da-da. Right? Like, and he sings, I get around, like, but he's singing, not Brian Wilson, but one of the brothers is singing lines in between all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's
Talking
singing, I
shit.
get around from town to town. I'm a real cool head. I'm making real good bread. Like, that's money.
Yeah, that's
Like,
what
he's,
I'm
he's, he's having the
saying.
same conversation. The first verse is, I'm getting bugged driving up and down the same old strip. I got to find a new place where the kids are hip. My buddies and me are getting real well known. Yeah, the bad guys know us and they leave us alone. Like, that is the same ethos, right? Like, we are the shit, and everybody around here knows we are. And like, yeah,
Look here. This is what I mean when I feel this song. I've been known to walk into the room and go to the girls and literally walk into the crowd of them and say, "So, you rolling with the winners tonight, or you rolling with them?" That's what this song
that's
is.
exactly what he's saying.
Yeah, he's
It's
like, "No,
what
no, no."
Pac's
He's
saying
like,
too, actually.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, it's just more blatant the way Tupac is saying it because
yeah.
it's not as harmonious and it's the hook's not as catchy, even though the hook is catchy on that one too. And then I thought about this. You talk about we talk about the 2 chord, 3 chord thing a lot.
Mhm. Yeah.
The 2 chord, two, 3 chord thing. Well, there's a lot of 2, 3, 4 word hooks too.
Mhm.
It's not overly complex. I get around, round, get around, I get around, I get around, round. That's the
Yeah.
hook. The hook is
That's it.
just stacked because of it's just a quartet of harmonies
Mhm.
stacking it and
Yeah.
harmonizing through it. But I get around. That's the only thing they say during the hook.
The hilarious part too, that did not occur to me until you just did that, was that it's actually a song sung in a round too. You get, like, the term in the round, like in a song, is where you start a verse or start a piece of singing, and then somebody comes in and sings the same thing about halfway through, and
Yeah.
it's almost like echoing, right? So,
There-
like, that's what they're doing too. It's a kind of another wink at the lyric.
So how about this? When you said that Brian Wilson was hard on them, you want to know what this feels like to me? Like on the hook,
Mm,
he was making every one of them do runs of the harmonies until they got it right.
yeah,
Like, no, 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 we got to stack it right. Like, it's got to line up and sound like our runs would sound if we were doing it individually, because that's how it sounds. It sounds like they're
mhm,
doing their runs individually, but they found a way to stack it collectively, which would
yeah.
be a little bit of ahead of its time, just as far as vocal recording process for the time,
Yeah,
because people
and this
didn't
song has,
stack
like,
it.
4 different hooks to it. I mean, the "I Get Around" part that we've been talking about is the main one, but, like, there are there are very hooky things and, like, the verses and the bridge and the, like, they're a bunch in there.
Okay, so people have to understand something. Music around this time, you could get a hook and a bridge out of a song, and the song be 2 minutes and 15 seconds long.
Mhm, and this one is. Yep.
So this is an example. I mean, because this also took me back to the thought processes like, well, this is what made the Beatles sound so different than the stuff that
Mhm,
people in the States were hearing. Because even on the black side, you're getting Motown. No, no, no. We ain't, my baby love,
mhm.
I need your same, same,
Same thing, yep,
same, same fundamental concept being done in black music. No, no, no. We got to hit them with the hook. Keep it simple. You got 3 minutes. The shit better be good.
yeah,
The Beatles
and,
did change all that.
yeah, the Beatles, I mean, this time in the early '60s, first half of the '60s, was a singles world, kind of like we're in right now, actually. And so you're doing songs that fit on, like, the 45, like the little bitty records,
Yeah,
right?
fit on the 45.
So they're, like, literally designed to fit in that amount of space. You see it in Motown, you see it in beach music, you see it in the early Beatles music. Or a lot of the early Beatles music didn't have the beach feel to it, but they were pulling more from Elvis Little Richard world than they were from beach music world. But um, same idea, right?
Um, I think okay, so okay, and so and you're the one that has broken this down for me because we've talked about the Beatles and the Beach Boys before.
Mhm. Right.
I think the Beach Boys ethos, and it feels to be a concerted like ethos by Brian Wilson,
Mm.
is to show you how America is living.
Yeah.
not necessarily what's going on in America.
Say more about that. I don't 100% follow you yet.
The Beach Boys ain't making no inner city blues or Mercy Mercy
No,
Me that's speaking to the actual issues that are
no,
taking place in America.
no,
They're
they are
showing
not.
how white America lives.
Mm.
Like their music to me, elitist is not the word,
It's
but
aspirational.
yes, it's like their music is littered to me with what the quote unquote white American dream is.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right.
Yes. And so the Beatles shit don't hit like that. The Beatles kind of be like, nah, we kind of just write about the fly shit we see and do.
Hmm.
You know? Like whatever it may be. I said for the Beatles, it's like, you know, that they can take something like, oh no, I saw a blackbird today, and I'm gonna write a whole song about it, but it really ain't about that blackbird that I saw.
No, it's a metaphor. Yes.
Right,
No.
right, right. So they looked at music that way, I think, and I think the Beach Boys was like, no, 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 no. Let's show them like, you know, it's like Tupac says at the end of California Love, let's show them how we do on this side. That's kind of what the
Hmm.
Beach Boys music sounds like to me.
Yep,
Has
that
all
is
the
what they're doing.
yeah. So I'm not off base about that.
No, not at all.
Well, well, that would be where I love Tupac so much because Tupac has the ability to step into the Beatles world and the Beach Boys world with ease that very few artists can. He does both. That's why he's so special to me. It's like, oh no, he can do the Beach Boys thing. Let me show you how we live it. And then he can do the Beatles thing. It's like, oh no, I can take this moment and share something with you and show you what's going on.
Right.
And so
Exactly.
that's yeah. And so that's where he becomes special to me. It's like, oh no, you can sit him next to the Beach Boys and we can do a song. Oh, but we can flip it and we can sit him next to the Beatles and do a song too.
We have, in fact, both.
Correct.
Yeah. So, because we did the Keep Your Head Up episode was with Let It Be, right? Which
And,
is
and to be honest with you, and this is what makes him so special. I think he's the only rap artist we'd be able to do that for.
yeah, and Bowie too. So who have we paired him with? We did Bowie with Changes. We did Keep Your Head Up and Let It Be. We're doing I Get Around with I Get Around. We did
So
My
that
Block. I forget what we did. Oh, that was with Green Day with
agreed there.
Boulevard of Broken Dreams. Um,
So when I so when I talk about
what am I
Tupac being the
missing?
logo, so when I talk about Tupac being the logo for rap, that's why.
Hmm.
Oh no, you can put him with Bowie. It makes sense. John Lennon makes sense. Brian Wilson makes sense.
Yeah,
Everywhere you put him, because he's an artist. He's an artist.
yeah.
He's not a rapper. He's an artist.
Yeah, and those are four. Despite all being rock and roll singers or whatever, they're all those four musicians: Green Day, and Paul
Oh,
McCartney,
yeah.
and David Bowie and Brian. Well, they're all pretty different. Like they're all coming at music from very different kind of perspectives.
So that's what I mean when I talk about Tupac in the range.
Hmm.
Like as far as artists goes, that's where it's like, oh no, like he raps, but it's like it's deeper than that. Like
Yeah.
never seen a rapper with range like that, and that includes
Yeah.
Nas.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
cause Nas's range, where he exceeds Tupac, goes more into the artistry side of things.
Hmm.
The range that Tupac had as a person to be able to deliver some things. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
As an actor too. Yeah.
that's a whole nother conversation.
But he had that gear too. That's what I'm saying. Like it's
That's what I mean. He got all the gifts. So, what do you think about the Beach Boys' place as far as like rock bands in history?
I should have anticipated that you were going to ask me that and actually thought about the answer to it.
Like, I know we've had, you know, because we talk popular culture music, and we were born in the early '80s. I have seen, and it's just, you know, just one of those things that speaks to their greatness. It usually starts with the Beatles and the Stones, and then it goes a couple of other places. And so I'm
Yeah.
not expecting you to put them ahead of Beatles or the Stones. So
No.
where would they fall respectively in relationship to a U2, a Nirvana, a Green Day, a Led Zeppelin?
Mhm.
Because people talk about, I don't hear it, even though I think the album's great. I haven't heard it in a while, in all honesty, so I'm gonna have to listen again. That's why I asked you if this was on Pet Sounds. but Pet Sounds often gets put in the same grouping
Right.
with Revolver, with
Right.
Purple
With Sgt.
Rain,
Pepper. Yeah.
with Thriller, with Sergeant Pepper, with
Yeah.
Rumor, with Blue, with
Pet
songs
Sounds is
Be Alive.
his. Pet Sounds is his. Brian Wilson his. Magnum opus in the way that in composition and shit that he was doing in the studio, like we talk about Sgt. Pepper doing for studio things too, because they were able to do what they did with Sgt. Pepper's, particularly because that album was not designed to be played live, right? So they put all this other weird shit in there that you couldn't recreate live, at least not then, couldn't recreate live on stage. Because they did not intend, because they had retired from playing out loud. And because we've had this conversation before, they
Yeah,
weren't playing live shows
right.
anymore because people were screaming too loud for anybody to hear anything. So they
That's
had
still
stopped in 65, 66. The Shea Stadium show, I think, was 65, and that was that might not have been their last show, but like one of the last big shows.
Musically speaking, that's still the craziest shit I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Like in my life. It's like it's too loud. It's too loud when we go perform for us to perform anymore.
Yeah, like I mean, I know air monitors or whatever have obviously evolved since then. And we've had artists kind of the Michael Jacksons and some of the boy bands. I mean, they're obviously like that kind of thing too. But I mean, to think at the height of your popularity, you were just like, nah, I can't do this anymore, because forget the fame part of it, which was, I'm sure, overwhelming. But like, I can't even. I mean, the Beatles' music is based on harmony, right? Yeah, I can't even fucking hear the guy beside me, so I can't sing harmony with somebody I can't hear, right? So it's that's just the point is that the Pet Sounds is looped in with Sgt. Pepper. Sgt. Pepper came out after Pet Sounds. Pet Sounds was in between Revolver and Sgt. Pepper. And the legend is that they heard Pet Sounds and are like, shit, we got to step our game up. Like, we got to like.
Hold on, the legend is what? The legend is what?
Is that they heard Pet Sounds, Lennon and McCartney heard Pet Sounds, and they're like, we have to like step our game up, because this is like a masterpiece. And so they are the.
But hold on, does Brian Wilson feel that way about Sgt. Pepper's when he's?
Yeah, I mean, it's a response, right? Like and there you see a couple runs like this in musical history, and this is way off subject because you asked me like where they fit in musical history, but I'll come back around to that, I promise. The order, as I remember it, was Revolver, then Pet Sounds, then Sgt. Pepper, then Brian Wilson was working on an album called Smile, and that's when he had his breakdown. And they didn't release Smile. They did release it, but much, much later. So they were not in competition with each other, like I'm trying to sell more than you, but like trying to raise each other's level. You saw that. You see that in hip hop world a lot. I'm sure you can speak to that more, but you saw it like in the late '90s with REM and Radiohead, going back and forth. They did the same thing, being inspired with each other. Yeah.
So I mean, so I would think for white music, this is probably the tipping point of popular culture music, would be this moment in time where the Beach Boys and the Beatles are having this back and
And
forth.
that's when it becomes an album world too, right? And that instead of a singles world.
Okay, so the black culture, the closest thing to that is when Mike made Thriller and then Prince made Purple Rain.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that we're talking about.
Purple Rain is the response to Thriller. It's literally the same number of songs. It's literally I can do that. I can just do it my way. And let me show you
That's
how
what Sign of the Times is too, right? Not with Thriller, but like
I think Sign of the Times, like for me, musically speaking, he's trying to stake his claim as the greatest artist who ever lived. It is his claim. It's him saying, "Oh no, I don't need the band. I'm the band. I can pick this person, that
whoever."
And so it's that. So that's more of that personal like manifesto where it's kind of like Oh no, I'm done dealing with him and dealing with all that. When it comes to like doing this musicianship on all levels, like I got it because I can go. He had reached the point on Sign of the Times, and we're way off base. We can going to jump back in. People have to understand musically, he had reached a point place on Sign of the Times, and I don't know how many artists can say this. Oh, anybody great that was before me, I can do their shit right now. Watch me do it.
Yeah, that's exactly we have. For those of you who don't know, we did a Grammy episode on Sign of the Times.
Yeah.
I don't know, 6 or 8 months ago or something like that. You should go back and watch that. But we talked about that. Like Sign of the Times, when I heard it for the first time, like all the way through, because I'd heard some of the songs, but not listened to it all the way through at that point. And I was like, he is taking all of the popular songs of the mid '80s and saying, I can do that one better, and I can do that one better, and I can do that kind better, and I can do that kind better. And he does do it better.
I mean, for me, and this is what I mean. There's like stuff that you make, and this is what I mean that shows it, and it's like it's never going to register because the song isn't that big. It's like, oh no, he's the only artist that can make Housequake. It's like that's James Brown's record.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? That's a
Yep.
James Brown record getting made in 1986, 87. Like,
Right.
like stylistically speaking, it's like, who the fuck was doing that then? And
Right.
that's where it becomes special. Just stylistically and musically, he just put so many things into play. But I just say that to say that competitively speaking, like it helped raise the bar for us in black music.
Exactly.
That's when the bar got raised. Was when they made those two albums. It was like we had Stevie's album run, and we had Marvin Gaye with What's Going On. But the
Mhm.
album thing really wasn't a thing in black culture until Thriller and Purple Rain.
Right.
We were singles driven too.
So Thriller and Purple Rain did the same thing that Pet Sounds and Sergeant Pepper do.
Yes.
I Get
Just 20
Around
years
obviously
later.
was before this, um, too. To come back to the question that you asked me, which is where they fall in the pantheon of white music artists. I mean, I have to ask the same question that I've asked before, and I still don't know the answer to it, which is, do we count solo artists masquerading as a group? Are we counting Prince and the Revolution? Are we counting the Dave Matthews Band? Are we counting Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band? Are those solo artists or are they bands? Does that make sense?
I've come to this place that I think the band deserves credit because here is why.
Yeah.
And this is what I will say, and I'm going to go back to Prince with this. Oh no, it's if you go through his 5 best albums, nah, you could probably say legitimately 4 of them were made with the Revolution. The Sign of the Times would be the one that got made. That's not. Some people think Diamonds and Pearls is one of his 5 best albums. I don't think so. I think I would put that 6. Do think Controversy is better. 1999, it's definitely
Mhm.
better. Purple Rain's definitely better. Around the World in a Day is probably his most underrated album. That's the Revolution too. So even for him, and
Right.
he's the greatest artist who ever lived. Oh no, most of his best shit was with the Revolution. They deserve to be on the list.
Okay.
Same thing with the Dave Matthews Band. They
Yeah, I
deserve to
mean, he
be
has solo stuff too, right? That's
correct.
good, but not the same, right? Like it's the
Right.
same, and
He
Springsteen does too. Like has
he
stuff
don't
that,
he doesn't have any Sign of the Times, but yeah.
yeah,
Same thing with
no,
Springsteen. I mean, Springsteen's got the band, but he's got his solo shit too. But most of the dope shit's with the band.
yeah, the certainly the
Yeah.
most famous stuff for sure,
Right. And
right?
here's the other thing that I wanted to ask you because part of why I'm asking you this is because I understand they kind of came around the same way that the Isleys did,
Mm-hmm.
where it was just like, oh no, they were known before they even really made an album and was touring before like albums was the thing. And so it's kind of like the same thing for the Beach Boys. But then the Isleys did start making albums though,
Right,
and like albums. And
right.
so when it goes back to the Beach Boys, it's like, well, I only know about Pet Sounds, Andrew. What else is there?
Yeah, there's not the same kind of number of albums. They had in the early '60s several albums that were like the Beatles' "Please Please Me," or those that are more of a collection of singles than they are end-to-end player, like Rubber Soul, Revolver, that kind of thing. Um, so they hit the album thing the same time, like 65, 66, 67. Um,
So I'm saying this, and I just want to be careful and mindful about how I say this. Are we sure that they're one of the greatest rock bands ever, or did they just have a great moment? Because when I think about
the thing that's
YouTube,
different I'm sorry, finish what you're saying first. Yeah.
I just immediately think about a group like a U2 and all the high level quality work that they've done for the majority of their career.
Hmm.
I wasn't a fan of that last project that they did that they released on all the streaming, like you got it automatically with your
Yeah,
platform.
it's not great.
The album was not
No.
good. It was probably their weakest outing, but that was probably their first outing where it like wasn't something that was really worth sinking your
Yeah,
teeth to. And so they've got about 4 albums like that over the span of 15 years, if memory serves correctly.
yeah.
I don't.
They have that. Have Joshua Tree, Achtung Baby,
Yep.
Unforgettable Fire, which is before that. Boy, which is before that. War, which is before that. Like yeah, there's and then the
What's the
the
one after
elevations of the world, right? The How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb, and I mean all that
How to Dismantle
modernish
an
stuff
Atomic
too.
Bomb? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so I look at that. We done talked about the Stones and the Beatles run like ad nauseum,
yeah.
and so even with them, it's like I put Nirvana up very high, but it's like you and I've had this conversation. It's like, well, they didn't do a lot of work. Can't put them but so high.
Right.
The same rules apply to the Beach Boys.
Here's the thing, like the other thing that differentiates the Beach Boys, and you might want to consider this a drawback for them, is that they don't have very many kids in the game, so to speak, right? Like nobody has done, and some of that is nobody could do what they did. I mean, in that kind of way. Um, but I listened back to I Get Around because I saw a video earlier today where somebody went through Good Vibrations, which is on Pet Sounds. No, Good Vibrations is after that. Went through Good Vibrations and said there were like 14 key changes in the song or something like that. I listened back to I Get Around and there's like 7 or 8. Like there's a bunch of stuff in there. And so it's one of the geniuses of it is that it sounds very simple just to listen to the
Hmm.
song. But the chord changes and the harmonies and the way they're doing all of those things is actually pretty complex. But that's a lot of things to say that nobody tried to do that, right? Um, all the other bands that you've named, barring you two, really, but your Nirvanas, Beatles, Stones, Zeppelin, like everything that comes after them bears their mark,
Yeah.
right? Um, everybody is either trying to be Nirvana or they're trying to go against what Nirvana is doing. Everybody's trying to do what the Beatles did or they're going against what the Beatles did. Everybody is trying to, um, like, we've had this conversation when we talked about Zeppelin a couple times too, that like all hard rock music, all the hair metal, all of that is
Goes back
them
to them.
trying to be Robert Plant and
Right.
Jimmy Page, right? Like that's what they're
Right.
trying to do.
Right.
So they don't have that kind of lineage in the same kind of way. But
But that's but
you could
that's what I
also
mean.
say that that's in the vein of Prince and the Revolution, right? Nobody sounds like Prince and the Revolution either, because nobody can sound like Prince and the Revolution.
Okay, so this is what I mean when it's like, well, how do we rate them? Because that's why I'm saying it's like, no, the Revolution got controversy in 1999 and Purple
Right.
Rain and Around the World in a Day. Like they did that in 5 years. It's like that's some of, as far as modern day. How about this? There isn't a band where a black man is the front man that's as good as the Revolution.
Right.
So as far as black bands goes, the best black band ever in a lot of ways. I would give it to the Isleys over a. But
Yeah.
if we just talking about the band being the band and doing the damn thing, I'm kind of asking. It's like, but when did they really do the damn thing? Because it's like, oh no, controversy 1999, Purple Rain, Around the World in a Day. That's doing the damn thing and doing it
Here's
consecutively.
the thing, like when you first asked me this question, like where they fall in the top, my reflex is in the top 10. Like that was my reflex response.
Hmm.
But the more we're talking about it, I'm not sure.
That's what I'm
Like
saying.
2025 maybe, like in that
There we go. There we go.
kind of range maybe.
Kind of
Like
feeling
I'm
that way.
because I'm sitting here thinking listening to what you're saying, and if we're counting Springsteen and the E Street Band, and if we're counting Prince and the Revolution, and we're counting the Isley Brothers, and we're counting like Beatles, Stones, Zeppelin, um, honestly, in the history of music, Black Sabbath's probably more important. Like having more people like coming, like all metal music comes from that, right? And Judas Priest,
I
like
mean,
so.
how about
You know,
this?
are we
And
counting Simon and Garfunkel a band, or we count
and
like
and Andrew, I'll just kind of
I
submit
don't
this
know.
to you. You've even told me this. Well, you're not the biggest Dead fan in the world, but you do Dead reviews all the time about the following and about the lineage and about how people have
Yeah,
stuck and gravitated towards it. I don't
get
hear
the fuck
that
out of my
about the
mind,
Beach
man.
Boys.
Get out of my mind, though. For real. Like I'm sitting here thinking as you're saying this is like, are they?
Are they as great as
They
people
are
think
like
they are?
opposite ends of the spectrum of white music, right? One of them is jamming stuff out and improvising and coming from the jazz blues tradition, and one of them is like super tight, super rehearsed barbershop quartet lineage, right? Um, so they're about as far apart as you can get. In that, so but I don't know that I could say that they're more important to American music or worldwide music than the Grateful Dead. I don't think I can say that. Um, like I don't.
So
So it's
sometimes you have artists, and I'm saying this respectfully, they have a sound and a style. It might just be for a time. It might not be timeless, even if the musician is accomplished, like even if he's
mhm,
doing special stuff. Just
yeah,
because you do special stuff doesn't mean it sticks.
yeah.
And
And a lot of the early stuff, like I get around, and a little bit after, and a little bit before, sounds pretty similar. Like a lot of the songs are very very similar.
so I mean, it's
Um,
like, how about this? Like, when did the Beatles break up?
1970.
Okay, what were the Beach Boys doing then?
I think I don't know if Brian Wilson was still in his not getting out of bed stage. I mean, that would have been around then.
Okay, so when you're saying all this is part of why I started asking these questions because I remember you telling me a long time ago about the breakdown and the stoppage. Listen to what I'm about
Mhm.
to say. They missed their moment because of that.
Definitely
That's
possible.
what that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, oh no, they were having their moment and they were quote unquote right there with the Beatles, and then he had the breakdown and tapped out. And so let's bring that to rap terms. Oh, that's the equivalent of putting yourself in prison for a few years when you're the hottest thing in the streets.
Mm.
Your career may never be the same. When you pop back out, people may still love you. It may not be the same.
It's not the same though, right?
And that can give us a segue into an artist who actually did the opposite and became more popular after he became incarcerated, which is the other
Yeah.
song. And so I think, just to kind of close this part, maybe get to the Tupac part, that, oh no, they might be all time great, but about his nervous breakdown, their all time greatness is in that 20 to 25 range when it probably should be somewhere between 5 to 10. But
Right.
because of that, they missed their moment.
Mm.
And that's my take. And this is just me off the top of the dome based on the stuff that you're telling me. Because when you're saying that stuff to me, and I remember you telling me about the breakdown again, and this is around the time too. You have to understand where we did that early when I was still digging into a lot of this music,
Mhm. Yeah.
And I can remember going back and listening to Pet Sounds. But here was the thing, and this is where it started triggering all that. I didn't listen to anything else but Pet Sounds because there was really nothing else that people were talking about.
Right. You should listen to Smile too.
Okay.
Which is the one that he was working on when it happened, and they did release it later, but it's he finally got it right. He was certainly a kind way to say it was an obsessive perfectionist, like,
Mhm.
and which is why the music sounds that good, but also it was not good for him or the people around him,
See, this is
particularly.
what I mean when you talking about, oh, the perfection made him have a nervous breakdown. It's like, I mean, not being funny, but it's like, dude, the rest of these guys are perfectionists too. All those guys operate on your level, operate like that. That's what
Mhm.
it takes to
Yeah.
operate on that level. Have you seen that footage that they showed a few years ago when Michael Jackson was about to fire the guy because he couldn't get
Mm.
like the? Oh yeah, Mike was doing sound check before the show, and the dude was drumming and stuff. And
Mhm.
Mike is like, no, like it goes like that. And the dude, like, he's like, and Mike's kind of looking at him like,
Is this
Like he kind of like it's
And,
Mike
and we
kind
all
of
know Prince was like that too, right? Like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
No, Prince is an asshole about it. Mike was kind of like, so you need to do it like that, right? Like that's him telling him like we go on tonight, like you. But they're all like that. They're
yeah,
all like that. Like Mike just rolled up on him like, no, that don't sound right. It's a fucking genius. He's like, that don't sound right. Do it like that. He's telling the person how to play the instrument. Do it like that. It needs to sound like that.
yeah.
Yeah, he just walked out
And
and
that's
did
one
that.
of the things that like ties them all together is
Yeah,
that they hear the thing in their head and they. I mean, Mike's not a drummer, and he's not that he can't play drums, but like he's not a professional drummer. Like,
right.
but they still hear things like in their heads. They're like, it has to sound like this, and being able to like get other people to do the thing to make it sound like on tape, like it sounds in your head, is the
Yes.
hard part, right?
Bruce Springsteen on Born to Run, that whole Defiant Ones thing. Stick.
Yeah.
Stick. 2 days.
Yep.
Stick.
Yeah.
Yeah. They all like that. That's why it's like, well, you don't really get like a pass for that, is what I'm saying. It's like, oh no, all the other guys that are like that stayed and played and kept on playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I always tell people there's the Tupac people know
Hmm.
before the incarceration, and
Yeah.
then there's the Tupac people know after.
Right.
More people are familiar with the latter than the former.
Sure.
This song is this song essentially, I Get Around by Tupac, is essentially his coming out party as a hip hop star.
Okay. So it would have been before.
This is before.
Right.
This is the first single off his second album, Strictly for My Niggas.
Okay.
His first album yielded a couple of records that got some fanfare, most notably Brenda's
Hmm.
Got a Baby,
Right.
Trapped, which actually was a video of him like actually incarcerated in a jail cell, very fortuitous.
Hmm.
Yeah. So this song by Tupac is his coming out party as a rap artist. He's already a
Okay.
movie star. He's
Okay.
already a
I didn't
movie
know he
star.
was a movie star first.
Okay, so he's already been in Juice. If I'm not mistaken, this is around the same time Poetic Justice is coming out. So
Hmm.
he's already in movies and starting that process. I think he could have ended up being a better actor than rapper. He's classically trained, and he's just
Right.
his voice, his ability to memorize and execute. But I think a lot of people forget this man died when he was 25 years old
Right. So he didn't have a chance to do a whole lot else. I
in
mean, he did a
1980.
lot for being dying
So
when he was
this
20.
so this song was written when he was about 21 years old.
Hmm.
So these are the thoughts, and this is the part people forget. These are the thoughts of an expression of an impoverished 21-year-old black man.
Hmm.
Like people need to
Right.
start looking at Tupac's music and understand that like it's actually the voice of our youth, not our adulthood.
Okay.
He died at 25.
Yeah.
This is him at 22 with a song he probably wrote when he was about 21, 22. What you would expect a 21, 22-year-old to make, you know?
Yeah. Also, I just looked it up. Brian Wilson was 22 when this song came out, too. When the version came out, too. So
So they're
I
the
knew it
same
was
age.
around then, but
So
yeah,
they're the same age when they're making these records. Well,
yeah,
this is what I'm saying again. Well, let's go back to the Beach Boys things.
they're focusing on the
Cars,
same things. Yeah,
cars, girls, money. Think about this. They're not that far away from each other. This is when Tupac is in Oakland, California.
yeah,
This is when he's hanging out in the Bay. Shock G from Digital Underground, the group that put Tupac on, is on this record. So
right.
this is the kickoff. Like part of why Shock is on the record is to help kick the song off. This is his
Hmm.
single. So it's easier for Tupac to sell this product via Interscope with
Hmm.
Shock G from Digital Underground, because Digital Underground was within Interscope.
Okay,
Same old song, Humpty Dance, big
right.
selling records. Right. And so this is Interscope helping craft Tupac into a star too. Now this is Tupac's narrative, but there
Hmm.
are pieces of it that are industry driven. Shock G being on the record.
Right.
I guarantee you, Tupac probably want to keep your head up to be the first single instead of I Get Around. The label was probably like, no, you are not
Yeah.
doing that black upliftment shit on the first single.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I shouldn't laugh at that. But it does track with what they kind of thing they would say.
It's
Um,
Interscope. It's
yeah,
Interscope.
exactly.
You're
Yep.
working for the Corleone family of the music industry. You don't want a
Yep.
horse's head in your bed. You're putting out I Get Around.
Yeah.
And so that's how this came to be. But this is the song that made him a star. This is the song that made him a sex symbol. This is the first time you really saw him shirt off, gold chains, thug life, tattoos.
Yeah.
So the whole, I tell people, the whole modern day rapper sex symbol ethos, it actually originates from this song because of the video.
Okay.
It's the first time you see Tupac really party. Like Tupacalypse Now, his first album's called Tupacalypse Now. It's a very serious album.
That's yeah. It would have to be with
He's a-
that title.
And people have to understand this. Tupac was a very multifaceted dude, but I believe at his core, he's a very serious brother. He was raised by Black Panthers.
Right.
The poignant words that he speaks, this brother is deep, you know, and Tupacalypse Now was a reflection of that and not a reflection of all his other character traits and talents. So this is him learning to spread it out and spread it around and let people see the more affable, happier party side of him. The whole video is set up like a party, you know?
Right.
But he also, too, is addressing some of the things that come with him being a young man and seeing fame from the first time. He starts it off like that. Back to catch wreck. All respect to those who break their neck to keep their hoes in check. Cause though they sweat a brother majorly, and I don't know why, your girl keeps paging me. She tell me
Yeah.
that she needs me, cries when she leaves me, and every time she sees me, she squeezes me. Lady, take it. Go back to that vocal inflection. This is what I mean about Tupac having gifts like Brian Wilson with the tone out. Lady, take it easy. Hate to sound sleazy, but tweeze me. I don't want to hit the sack easy. He changed his vocal inflection at the drop of a dime
Yeah.
at 21 years old with no muscle, no reflex,
Even
no
like
nothing.
for an opening single, this was what? When was it? Like 93?
92, 90, 93, 93.
Okay. Like
Late 92, early
having
93.
the fancy word for it is syncopation in music terms. The do, 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 like that flow is unusual, especially for the opening of a song, right? That's not a typical standardized kind of thing. And
Especially
it's
for
one of the
the
things that catch my
time.
attention, and it caught my attention again when I listened to it this morning because I've heard you quote it, 500 times, right? This song for lots of things. This is where that Prince, the Ladder song, the Ladder thing comes from too.
Everybody's looking for the ladder.
So like, it was one of those things. Like I've heard you quote it 100 times. I was like, but I've heard you talk about it, and I was like, I don't know if I've actually ever heard the song before. And then it came on. I was like, okay, yeah, obviously I've heard the song before. So that's another one of those comparisons too. That even if I didn't know it from the name of the song, like when it started playing, I was like, okay, yeah, I definitely have heard this before.
You've heard the record before, yeah. The most striking and frightening part about this record to me is actually his third verse. So he has the first verse, Shock has the second verse,
right,
and he has the third verse. And on the song, and I mean, it's just, this is what I mean, like, and I do believe he was a prophet because most of the things he spoke about himself came to pass. At the end of this record, he literally says, there's a lot of real G's doing time because a groupie did the truth and told a lie. You picked the wrong guy, baby. If you're too fly, you need to hit the door. Search for a new guy.
Which is what happened to him.
Yep. A year and a half later, he is going to Rikers Island or Clinton. Either Rikers or Clinton. I think it was Rikers first, for sexual assault on a woman who they say, people who were there recounting and said, that girl was giving him head on the dance floor in front of everybody, and then went upstairs with him after that, and still he caught the charge. And there were people down there that seen it. And so it's kind of ironic that during his rise to fame, he was speaking about what would be part of his demise.
Right.
Fortuitous, foreshadowing. And it's one of those things, and this is what I'm saying. When somebody's a prophet, they have to be careful about what they say. Because the words that come out of a prophet's mouth can be claimed, good or bad. Like God's going to let you claim both sides. And so that is one of those things when I look back on how his life is going, I go back and listen to his music. Oh, he claimed a lot of his demise.
Yeah.
And
Big did too, yeah. Both of them did.
It seems so innocent on such a, happy-go-lucky, feel-good, get the girls party type of song. But this is what I mean. No, think about what he's saying on a song for the girls, because he's a deep thinker. That's what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying. That deep thinking part of him, it's gonna keep on coming out. That's that part of him that's a deep thinker that still tried to make it fun. But think about it. That was something that was on his 21-year-old mind as his rise to fame. Oh, some chick might try to hit
Yep.
me with a, you know. And so that part of it is real too. And so even on this song that's like fun and loving and upbeat and tempo and feels good for the most part and really enjoyable. Words are
Mhm.
easy to sing along to. Oh no, there's still that poignant Tupac moment in there where he
Right.
breaks it down for you, like what time it is. And then he ended up being on that time and doing time because of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. But
Yeah.
I do believe he's a prophet. That happening is one of the reasons why, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's one of those things.
it's a moment.
It is. But for the most part, much like the Beach Boys, it's just 21-year-old black guy wants to have a good time,
Mm-hmm.
party with the girls. And here's the thing
Yep.
about it, much like Brian Wilson. Oh no, he the man right now. He
Yeah.
with
He
Bishop
is.
Juice, Poetic Justice. He had already kind of got the ladies' attention with Brenda's Got a Baby. Oh, the shirt off on the Tupac on the Strictly for My Niggas album cover, and then shirt off, tattoos, had on the herringbone chain
Mm-hmm.
back when that was the thing. Oh no, that right there, that was the touch point moment because I still, in my mind, my first real memory of Tupac, the rapper, is in that video with his pants sagging,
Yep.
herringbone, tattoos, got his hat kind of sideways. I still remember it in my mind. It's the first time I seen him, like as a rapper. And
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, I think the pop culture, like that's my image of him too. Like that when I hear his name, that's that one, and like the songs, not necessarily this one, but like the imagery that goes around him, all the things that you just described, the tattoos, the chain, like all of that stuff. That's the image that I associate with him.
right, this is where the image started.
Mm.
Yeah, this is the image. What happened was that Interscope tried to give him that image,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm gonna tell you what happened. Keep Your Head Up came out and was even bigger than I Get Around. It was
Right.
bigger, it was better, it was bolder, it played longer, it was on MTV Jams. It's a better record than I Get Around. A
Yeah.
more important record too. And I guarantee you, when that record hit bigger than I Get Around, he stopped listening to label people and doing what the fuck he wanted to do. And you can see it for the rest of the run.
Yep.
Yeah, you can see it for the rest of the shit. Yeah. And so this song is probably one of those touching point moments too, where he really started doubling down and being Tupac again, which is why you get Me Against the World
Mm-hmm.
sounding so serious. And again, yeah, he's like, no, I tried that. That was cool, but the shit that I'm doing works best. And that's why
And that's what
Me
we're gonna
Against the
do.
World, All Eyes on Me. No, I'm gonna do that. No, we can make the singles. I'm gonna do some Tupac shit though. And that's
Yeah.
how it started happening. And now you go back and listen to all the singles after Get Around. Oh no, he giving you that Tupac moment that he gave you on I Get Around. That's where he got that formula from.
Okay.
Case in point, how do you want it? See Dolores Tucker use a motherfucker. Instead of trying to help a nigga, you destroy a brother. Worse than the others, Bill Clinton, Mr. Bob Dole. You're too old to understand the way the game's told. See how quick he hit you with that on the hit record?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was his thing. That became the thing. It's like, oh no, I'll make that record
But we're
my
still
way.
gonna get a couple shots in. Yeah.
We gonna get it my way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is the start of him doing it my way to immaculate results.
Yeah.
Immaculate, because once he started doing it his way, that's when he made his best stuff. The first two albums, I Get Around, oh no, that's about the label being involved. You start getting to Me Against the World and All Eyes on Me, no, that's the shit Tupac wanted to make. He didn't
Mm-hmm.
care about it anymore. The best songs on there are So Many Tears, Dear Mama. Those are not traditional singles that a record label is about to push, unless your name is Tupac Shakur and you have already made a song like Keep Your Head Up that was the biggest record on your double platinum second album.
Yep. And then
So
you can kind
he bought his equity with Keep Your Head Up, not I Get Around. Like kind
of
of bought his artistic freedom with the record,
right.
or he just
Yeah,
kind of took it, probably like
and
fuck
that's the
it.
thing. As you're saying all these things, it occurs to me that there are a lot of people, and this actually is a Beatles and Beach Boys thing too, honestly. There are a lot of people that can make "I'm gonna go to the beach and party with the girls" kinds of songs.
Mhm.
Um, Not stylistically like the Beach Boys, but they're in Motown world and 50s and 60s rock and roll world, there are 80 billion songs like that, right? Or that are aspirational white people songs, if we're being
Right.
but they can't also make Keep Your Head Up. They also can't make Julia. They can't make Helter Skelter. They can't make
Correct.
Happiness Is a Warm Gun. They can't or Come Together. Like those are
Correct.
they
It's
are
next
there's
level.
another level there
Next level.
that
It's
the
next level. Yeah.
other groups, as technically brilliant as they are, don't and can't
It's
access.
levels. It's levels to this shit. Elevation is different up there. Yeah, it's different elevation. That's what I mean. It's like, oh no, he elevated. His elevation is different. You're right. When it starts transcending and going somewhere else because of the things that you're saying and how it impacts culture. And so I say this respectfully. Okay, so, and this is what I mean about Tupac doing Tupac. Tupac has more hits than Biggie.
Mhm.
Biggie's a better hit maker in terms of the traditional hip hop sense of the word when he
Right.
hits his. So listen to what I'm saying. Oh, I love I Get Around. I love How Do You Want It. It's not better
Mhm.
than One More Chance. Here's why. That's what Big does best.
Yeah.
That's not what Pac does best. And people
Right.
always forgot that part of it. Pac could do comparably hit wise as well as what anybody could do. But where is Big? And this is what Pac fans will tell you. Where's Big's Dear Mama?
Right.
Where's Big's Keep Your Head Up? Where's Big's So Many Tears?
Yeah, those
Where's
would be the
Big's Heart to
Hushachas of the
Mend?
world, right? Like those are
Right,
I mean, when he's doing not as apex level, but like he's moving. That's that version
right.
of that, right?
So it's like, oh no, you might make a catchier single,
Hmm.
but he's making comparable singles to you. And as far as content and depth, oh well, he's got you. And that's what
Yeah.
Tupac fans will say. And for the people that have Tupac above Big, that's why it's like, oh no, I know his hits. Like One More Chance, Big Papa might be better than I Get Around, and those records. But it's like, but it ain't better than those other records. Though, what about those other records that he
Right.
made into singles? It's just like inherently better records because they touch a fabric of black culture, of black men, of inner city life and black society that maybe Big's not doing.
Right.
And in fairness, Nas wasn't doing that shit like that either. Nas is more of a storyteller and a poet.
Right.
Wasn't necessarily talking about the uplifting of our community the way Pac was
Mhm.
early on.
Right.
He's maybe assessing the problems and explaining it to you in a very, very artistic and creative way. But as far as like getting to the meat of it, Pac's that dude. And
No, no,
so
Nas is the journalist, right? Like he's
he's your
telling us
street
what's happening.
he's your street reporter.
Right.
Absolutely. Right. Tupac is telling you why that woman is on welfare though. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Oz is telling you that she's on welfare and explaining the situation or condition. No, she has to live like this because she's on welfare. Pocket's talking about psychologically what's happening to the girl because she's on welfare. Oh no, she
Right.
doesn't believe in herself anymore. She may not go to college because of this. Look at what's happening to her child because of this.
Yep.
Yeah. And so it's different. And I know we're kind of like we've looped around a lot on this episode, but
Hmm.
I say that to say is that like, well, I Get Around is just introducing you to the piece of Tupac to get you to buy in. That's not the
Hmm.
real. Like he's
Right.
a ladies man. How about this? He's more of a ladies man by proxy because of how attractive he is and how sexy women find him, not because he was dying to be a ladies man.
Right.
Like he was dying to be an activist and a leader.
Hmm.
The girls just happen to come with it because the girls love him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And like the real Beach Boys is Good Vibrations, and the real Beach Boys is God Only Knows, and like those are the I think probably the songs that they wanted to make, right?
Right.
And so I Get Around again is the same thing. Like that's the buy-in. That's
Hmm.
the what everybody is doing that. And they had a bunch of songs like that. I mean,
Oh,
that
so
are in
so
the I Get Around kind of style.
so I Get Around when you told me that it was before Pet Sounds. I'm like, okay, so I Get Around is probably what Shout was for the Ozzy brothers.
Yeah, exactly. It works that kind of way. Like, see what would the Beatles like Love Me Do or 8 Days a Week or
8 days a week. I'm familiar with 8 days a
um
week.
like You would know all of these songs that I'm saying. From Me to You.
Oh, I
Um,
love "For Me to You." That's my shit.
uh, those are like the early Beatles songs, right?
Yeah,
Like
I love "For Me
so,
to You." That's one of my favorite Beatles records, actually.
yeah, those are all the stuff through like Hard Day's Night. Really, Hard Day's Night is doesn't really get talked about as this is not what this episode is supposed to be about. It doesn't really get talked about in the same kind of way that Rubber Soul Revolver, all the ones after it, but um to me that was their first. I mean, it was a movie soundtrack. I mean, that's what it was for, but it was their first like real album to me, and it's still one of my very favorites.
I had a T-shirt of "Hard Day's Night." It's the only Beatles memorabilia I've actually ever bought, and it is one of the
Yeah,
best
well, I have
albums.
my but yeah,
All right, I think we've done a good job about talking about Tupac, the Beach Boys.
yeah,
Our usual linchpins find themselves in there somewhere. That would
yeah.
be Stevie
We
Wonder,
we have spent like
Beatles, Rolling
not
Stones.
a not insignificant amount of time during this episode, as you per usual, talking about Prince and talking about the Beatles and talking, yeah. So
Well, I
um,
mean, and I'm going to explain this again for people that maybe might be new to us or not familiar with watching us. When you're talking about brilliance and greatness in music, well, there's not as many places to go as you think.
right,
It's
like
not as
the
many
very
places to
very
go as
very
you think.
top of the ladder is,
Right. So when you
the top
talk,
of the pyramid is a pretty small place.
right. So it's like, no, you're going to hear us talking about the same people because we are talking about the top of the pyramid. The
Yeah,
top of the pyramid fits less people.
yeah. And we have to give people a frame of reference, right? Like people that when you're talking about songs that other people might not know. Um, less the case for this particular episode, but for other ones for sure, that you have to give people a frame of reference. You have to have people understand like where things fit and what they
I
sound
mean,
like and that kind of thing.
I expect some Boy fans to blast me for my commentary. Absolutely. I expect that. They should.
Especially given the circumstances. Rest in peace, Brian Wilson. Yes.
Absolutely. Rest in peace, Brian Wilson. But we also have to be objective about what we hear. Part of the reason why we're talking about it is because he passed, and we wanted to pay homage by talking about one of their brighter and bigger moments. We also are journalists, I think, at heart. You are a
Yeah.
teacher in real life by trade, so we just
Mhm.
dialogue and discourse this way by function, too.
Yeah. And I mean, this episode, not this episode, but this podcast started with us just starting to record the conversations we were having anyway. Like
Yeah,
these are the conversations we have all the time anyway.
correct.
So
We just put them in a musical format.
yeah, exactly. So
All right.
all right, man. This has been "I Get Around and I Get Around" by Tupac Shakur and the Beach Boys. Rest in peace, Brian Wilson. Rest in peace, Tupac Shakur too. Actually, even though he did
Absolutely.
not die recently,
Been gone
still
too long.
missed for sure.
Yeah, gone too long.
Um, so yeah, this has been Mirror Music 58. We'll see y'all next time. Take care, y'all.